Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive directive that just dropped from the Department of Education. It's Memorandum 2024-0952. Now, if you're a school administrator, a division planner, or just someone who's really invested in the operational realities of our schools, you know that deciphering these dense memos can feel, well, a bit like translating an ancient language. But don't worry, because that's exactly what we're going to do together right now. We're going to completely decode the staffing guidelines for the MATATAG curriculum so you have a crystal clear picture of what's happening on the ground for the upcoming school year. Let's get right into it. At the very heart of this 16-page document is one critical question. How is the Department of Education fundamentally reshaping our schools for the 2024 to 2025 school year? Because honestly, this isn't just some routine administrative update. We are looking at a highly strategic, calculated rollout of resources. It's totally designed to tackle those chronic shortages and administrative bottlenecks that have been weighing down our teachers for years. And the sheer scale of this, it's staggering. Okay, let's look at the numbers. 22,323. That is the exact number of brand new teaching items being allocated. We're talking from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12, plus the Alternative Learning System or ALS. The Department of Budget and Management is actually funding this enormous wave of new educators. But DepEd isn't just handing these out randomly. As we'll see in just a moment, there is a very strict formula dictating exactly where these 22,000 plus teachers are going. But wait, there's more. And honestly, for a lot of teachers, this next number might be the most exciting part. 5,000. That's the allocation for new Administrative Officer 2, or AO2, non-teaching items. These 5,000 roles are explicitly created and deployed to support school operations. This is a total game changer for the daily lives of our educators. We're going to break down exactly what tasks these officers will be taking off the plates of our classroom teachers. So, to make sense of all this, here is our roadmap. Number 1, the allocation strategy. 2, the MATATAG class size rules. 3, computing teacher requirements. 4, special hiring guidelines. 5, deploying admin officers. And finally, number 6, the August 2024 mandate. Starting with Section 1, Allocation Strategy. Who gets priority? The memo makes it absolutely clear that this is not an equal slice of the pie type situation. The deployment is strictly prioritized. At the very top of a list, newly established or integrated schools that currently have 0 nationally funded teachers. Right behind them are schools suffering from the highest pupil-to-teacher ratios and acute teacher shortages. They're also explicitly prioritizing schools in far-flung areas and multi-grade schools that are trying to operate with fewer than 3 teachers. Basically, the strategy here is targeted relief. They're sending the cavalry exactly where the line is thinnest. Moving on to Section 2, MATATAG class size rules, the new standards. Now, what's really interesting here is the official matrix directly from Enclosure A of the memo. This MATATAG-based planning parameters table is basically a division planner's new Bible. It dictates the exact parameters for class organization and teacher requirements based on specific enrollment brackets. Now, it looks a little dense with all those specialization factors and maximum limits, so let's simplify it a bit. Here is the distilled breakdown of those maximum class size limits. Kindergarten is capped at 30 learners per session. Grades 1 through 3 max out at 35 learners. Moving up, grades 4 through 10 have a higher threshold, maximizing at 45 learners per class. For senior high school, so grades 11 and 12, it's capped at 40 learners. And finally, the Alternative Learning System operates with a maximum of 75 learners per teacher. Remember, these aren't just polite suggestions. These are the strict mathematical baselines that schools' division offices absolutely must use to justify their requests for new teachers. Which brings us to Section 3, Computing Teacher Requirements, doing the math. So, the memo outlines a very specific logical formula for enrollments over 100, and it relies on what mathematicians call modulo arithmetic. Basically, we're working with remainders. Step 1, you take your total enrollment for a grade level and divide it by that maximum class size limit we just talked about. That gives you your base number of classes. Step 2, you look really closely at the remainder, the learners left over. And step 3, here's the golden rule. If that remainder is strictly greater than 10, you're authorized to organize 1 additional class. If the remainder is 10 or less, you add 0, and those extra learners are just absorbed into the existing classes. Let's ground this with a real example pulled straight from Annex 1 of the directive. Imagine a school with 61 kindergarten learners. Following our steps, we divide 61 by the kinder max limit, which is 30. That gives us 2, with a remainder of 1. So the crucial point is that we look at that remainder, which is 1. Because 1 is obviously not greater than 10, we do not add another class. The school will organize exactly 2 kindergarten classes. This modulo rule is super important because it ensures absolute consistency and stops the arbitrary creation of extra classes across different divisions. All right, Section 4, Special Hiring Guidelines, DOST versus SPIMS. DepEd actually has distinct commitments to specific national programs, and the deployment rules change depending on which program we're talking about. Let's look at 2 major ones. First up, the SPAMS beneficiaries. These are returning overseas Filipino workers under the Sa Pinas Ikaw ang Mom Serve program. The operational logic for them is highly localized. The memo states they should be deployed within or in a nearby municipality to where they actually reside. Now contrast that with DOST scholar graduates under Republic Acts 1061 and 7687. For them, deployment demands strict adherence to their specific subject specialization, especially for junior and senior high school. And they are assigned based on their home province, prioritizing areas that don't have subject mismatches. Let's head into Section 5, Deploying Admin Officers, Relieving Teachers. To really understand the gravity of this next part, we just need to read the official rationale straight from the text. It says, in consideration of the department's priority to remove the administrative tasks from teachers. I mean, wow, that is absolute music to the ears of educators nationwide, right? These 5,000 new items are not just extra hands on deck. They represent a systemic, structural solution to administrative burnout. And they are being strategically clustered geographically to schools that currently have absolutely no non-teaching personnel. Taking a quick look at the official job description from Enclosure B, these new AOI-2 incumbents are going to be under the direct supervision of the school heads. And the memo is super clear about this. It explicitly discourages transferring these personnel to non-school roles. They are meant to be right there in the school building, handling the heavy lifting of daily operations. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole strategy. By taking over specific core functions, these officers free up teachers to do what they do best. Actually teach. The AOI-2 core functions include human resource management, supply and property management, which means acting as the property custodian, and handling those complex financial-related tasks. Furthermore, a specific chunk of these officers is designated to provide critical administrative support to standalone senior high schools, many of which have literally been operating without any non-teaching personnel since they were first established. Finally, Section 6. The August 2024 mandate, strict deadlines. Okay, here are the critical, fast-approaching milestones every administrator needs to hit. By July 1st, 2024, the hiring and appointment process for these newly created positions absolutely must commence. Literally, there's no time to waste here. Then, by July 15th, the regional offices are required to forward their vetted, consolidated deployment reports to the central office. And the ultimate finish line? August 2024, where the department is demanding a 100% filling up rate. So why the immense pressure? Well, the memo tells us directly. Ensure a 100% filling up rate of these newly created positions before the next budget hearing deliberations, initially scheduled this August 2024. The department essentially needs to prove to the budget makers that they can efficiently deploy the resources they ask for in order to secure future funding. The strategy is officially set, the math is completely laid out, and the clock is definitely ticking. The only question left is, will your division be ready to hit that 100% target? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and good luck with all those upcoming school year preparations.